All right, welcome everybody to the Florida Physique Report, episode number 15. Today is Thursday, November 13th, 2014. And on today's show, we don't have any contests to cover because there was really no competitions last weekend. But we do have two special guests on the show this week. First of all, we have Miss Camla Macko, who was the winner last weekend at the Kentucky Muscle show. This was Kamla's first pro figure win. So congratulations to Camela. It was a great victory for her. She is now qualified for the Olympia next year, 2015. So that was a very memorable win. Obviously your first win is a big one, and I knew she was going to do it. I saw her in the Powerhouse Gym out here in downtown Tampa in the months leading up to the show. She took fourth place at the Tampa Pro show this summer, which was sort of disappointing because she took second place the last 2 years, and I think she thought she was going to win it this year. That was her plan. And came in a little off condition and dropped down to fourth place. So instead of just waiting until next year, she stayed on her diet and went into the Kentucky Muscle and came out with a win over, I think, 38 other pro figure competitors. So it was a very big win, very competitive show. So congratulations to Kamla. In addition to Kamla, we're also going to be speaking with Gina Midyett. Gina is the wife of Matt Midyett, who is the owner here at Powerhouse Gym, and Gina is competing this weekend in a show out in Miami. She's doing a bikini and a fitness show, so we're going to talk to her about her preparation and how she manages that with a busy lifestyle. Gina is a professional. She has her own practice, and then she has 2 children, so she has to manage all of that, and along with eating 6 times a day and training and doing cardio twice a day. So we're going to talk to her about that. Coming up this weekend, we have one of the last shows in the MPC Florida area before it all ends for the season. The 2014 season is almost over. This is the Florida Gold Cup, which is going to take place this weekend on the 15th of November, and that'll be out in West Palm Beach. Frank Marinelli is the promoter. I think this is the 34th year, and this is a drug-tested competition, one of the few MPC drug-tested competitions in the Florida area. I do a show in May called the NPC Natural Suncoast, which I just started this year, and that also is a drug-tested competition. And Tim Gardner does a Typhoon Bay competition that is held with his Hurricane Bay, and the Typhoon Bay is also drug-tested. So this is a pretty unique competition. So FloridaPhysique.com will be there this weekend at the Florida Gold Cup, and hopefully we'll get an interview with Frank Marinelli to talk about his long career as a promoter, and we'll be covering that show. And then, of course, next weekend is the big one, the MPC Nationals in Miami, Florida, on the 21st and 22nd. And this, of course, will wrap up the contest season for the MPC. The MPC Nationals will probably be the biggest national competition of the year. It is the granddaddy of all of them. But they're expecting 1,200 competitors, so it's going to be a huge show. So that's it for the Florida Physique Report. We have no contest to report, but we'll be back next week with a report of the Florida Gold Cup. All right, so let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be joined by Kamla Macko, who's going to talk about her victory at the Kentucky Pro. We'll be right back with the Florida Physique Report. All right, welcome back to the Florida Physique Report, and my very special guest today is Miss Kamla Macko, who is now a pro figure winner. You were a pro figure competitor, now you're a pro figure winner.
Oh my God.
Because you won the Kentucky Muscle last weekend, so congratulations, Kamla.
Thank you so much.
First
what
pro win.
Huge accomplishment.
Yeah. So, well, let's start off talking about that. Let's talk about your pro victory. Now, you've been a pro for how many years, Kamla?
I went pro in 2012, so 2 years.
Okay.
2 years.
And you took second at the Tampa Pro twice, 2 years in a row.
Yes.
But you never won it. And then this year you took fourth, which was a little disappointing. So you stayed on your diet, got in super lean shape. I never saw you look better. Your weight, just seeing you around here at the gym at Powerhouse Tampa, your waist was down, and then you went into the Kentucky Muscle and you won it. Now you have your Olympia qualification for next year. Oh
my gosh. I didn't think that it was going to pan out the way it did. I thought to myself, well, I'm going to win Tampa, and then I'm going to go into Olympia this year.
Right.
And sure, it did not happen that way,
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, well, I can't just end the season like that. I expect more from myself. And when I looked at my pictures from Tampa, everything looked great, but I wasn't conditioned.
Yeah.
And so that was off, and I just, like you said, got right back on my nutrition and went into Kentucky Pro and killed it. I mean, I just killed it.
And it was a big show, right? 38
and it was
women?
a huge show.
Yeah.
I mean, all the women were stunning. They looked fantastic.
Right.
Every woman was on point, and you know, to win it, especially a show you've never been to, you don't really know anybody. It was such a huge accomplishment, and you know, I was ready. I did everything that I needed to do to prepare for that day, and it just was picture perfect.
Now, we were talking a little bit last week because we did a training video last week before your show, and you know, you knew you were ready and you were confident, but you never want to put the cart before the horse, you know.
Oh yeah, come
you
on,
John.
You know how it is.
You know, right?
You know, it's always that teeter, first or second, you know. And I knew I was going to be in the top, but I didn't know if it was going to be a second or a third. And I prayed, you know, and I just said, you know, I want this. And I want to be on that stage next year in Olympia. And I went out there and I worked that stage.
Yeah.
And I made sure to hold every pose properly, you know, so.
Well, one thing that struck me last week was how calm you were. You know, you were relaxed, no nervousness, no tension. And I think when you have that kind of mindset, it makes it a lot easier.
It does. I mean, like I said, Tampa, it was good for me. I grew up a lot, and
sometimes we always get our best after a loss, after a disappointing loss. You know,
I agree, and I think that I needed to happen to just kind of propel me to the next level, and you know, I just really prepared for it, and I worked a lot on, you know, some of the issues that I faced with competing. You know, just going so fast, not slowing down, very stressed out. And I said, okay, you know, relax, take it a day at a time, and you know, just work on what you need to do, prepare, you know. And I noticed when I stayed calm and I slowed down, everything started to fall into place.
Yeah.
You know,
so what did you do with your diet to change from the Tampa show to the Kentucky Muscle?
What I did was I said, I don't want to be on a diet anymore. I want to find foods that I truly enjoy, even when I'm in prep, and foods that, you know, after the competition, I can still continue eating. So I put a lot of effort into the kitchen and into my flavoring and into my proteins and carbs, and finding, you know, lean sources of protein and of carbohydrates. Right. So what I did is I stuck to all different types of fish. I did sea bass, orange roughy, tilapia.
And this was different than your diet for the Tampa Pro, right?
Oh, completely different.
Okay.
I did steamed jasmine white rice, of course my egg whites, and then I went to, for my fibrous carbs, I went to asparagus, I went to some real dark green leafy vegetables. Okay. And I just took my time in preparing my food, you know, to make sure that I enjoyed every bite.
So were you counting your calories, or you don't do that?
Oh, I don't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I do, John? I listen to my stomach. You know, I get up in the morning, I, you know, do my 2 glasses of water, I do my cardio or my HIIT training, and then I come and I eat my breakfast, and I just eat till I'm satisfied, right? And then when I'm hungry again, I eat a little more, and that works for me. And the way I train, you know, I like to jump, I like to leap, I like to do very high intense workouts, so I like to feel light. Right. And you know, the switches that I made in my nutrition, going to fish, going to salads, and changing it to the jasmine white rice really made a big difference. You know, and then even the condiments I prepare with, you know, I did a lot of, I did Bragg's apple cider vinegar, I did Grey Poupon, I did Scotch bonnet pepper, which is one of my favorite, you know, peppers from Jamaica. Right. And just really put a lot of effort into my flavoring. Yeah. And I think that's the key, so that you don't fall off the wagon and you can stay in shape all year long. You know, because after what my coach and I created this year, I'm not going back. Right. I want to keep getting better. Right. But I still want it. I love to eat. Yeah. Okay. Now I do like to eat, so I said, because I like to eat all day, I gotta find foods that are very light and that don't put a lot of weight on me. Yeah. But to where I can eat bulks and feel like, God, I got so satisfied.
Right.
And then the other thing I incorporated into the mix was quinoa. So I mixed the quinoa in with the jasmine rice, and it was delicious. I even had cheese. I even had a little bit of feta.
Wow.
You know, so that's, I think the beauty of the journey is like finally finding like a system that works for you, and then just building on it, you know, every year.
Yeah. So even though you didn't count it, it sounds like the calories might have been a little lower, but it was just mentally more satisfying for this kind of diet, right?
Well, and I said to myself, I honestly, John, I'm so busy. I'm a full-time trainer, full-time home shopping network model.
Right.
I mean, I have so many different diversities that I'm into that I don't have time to count and do this and do that. So I said, okay, just find food groups that you can eat and it's not going to put any bloat or weight on you.
Right, right.
And then you look at yourself, right? You look at yourself, oh, I need to taper down, or I need to control that. And I really got in tune with how the foods made me feel. And I really paid attention to, okay, did the rice bloat you? Did it nourish you? How did you feel? So it's like real spiritual. So I really like what I'm eating now, and I'm still eating the same thing, you know, but I do know for next year, I know I'm gonna have to make changes, you know, because the sport is all about your improvement. So I think I gave them just enough, and now next year I'm gonna bring even a better package.
Yeah. So now, in preparation for this year's competitions, I know you had a longer off season. You sort of gained a little weight because you were using heavy weights, because we did a training video with you before.
You remember that?
Yeah, and you were using unbelievable weights for your legs. And so that was something new for you, right? Because before you were competing so often, you never really had a chance to have a long off season. So this year you gave yourself that off season. You probably saw the changes, right? Because you put on noticeable muscle and made a difference to your physique.
I'm so glad I did that off season, because I realized, I said, you have to, if you want to bulk or if you want to put on some quality muscle, you got to take a break. And you got to eat. If not, you're not going to grow. So, you know, I think doing that got my skin healthy, my hair healthy, allowed me to regroup and find out, you know, what are going to be the next steps that I need to do to get to that next level. And I'm going to, you know, stay along that path. You know, I want to put on a little bit more muscle, you know, for next year. So I'm still going to stay very active in the gym. I'm not going to go crazy with the cardio or anything like that, but I'm going to still continue my walking, my low impact cardio, and I'm going to really concentrate on lifting these next couple of months. You know, because January I'm going to start shutting down. You know, and get ready for the year. And
one thing, you know, you got already planned for next year, even though you're qualified for the Olympia next year, you don't have to do any shows, but you said you're going to do the Tampa Pro next year because that's your show. That's the one you want to win, right?
I have to. It'd be nice one year to win that, and I got to do that for my fans. They've been, and my sponsors and supporters. They've you know, really help support Gus and I on this journey, and I know that they'll be happy if I come in conditioned and give them, you know, a good package. But I would like to do a couple shows to warm up, you know, prior to Olympia. I enjoy competing, and I find that when I do, you know, a couple in the beginning, it just prepares you to where you can peak properly at Olympia.
Plus, I think that's a good idea, because in the judges' minds and in the fans' minds, they're going to know that you're a contender. They won't forget about you if you wait till next year and you don't compete at all. Then they might forget about you.
And I think it helps to show your face out there. You know, I think it helped that I did Tampa. And then, you know, right after I did Kentucky. So, you know, the planning this year for the show, it was great. It was great. You know, kind of was a little shaky in Tampa, but you know, my coach and I cleaned it up for Kentucky, and you're only as good as your last show, right? So, you know, we brought home the win, and now, you know, we're just ready to just kill it next year. So tell us a little bit about the show. You said there's 38 women in the show. How did you feel when you got there? How did you feel when you got on stage? You know, when I got there, I'm not gonna lie, John, I said, this is my time. I said, all these girls look fantastic, and they're conditioned, but this is my show. Something that you feel. And I was just, I took my time. I took my time. I put my suitcase to the right. I, you know, started carving up and did my my TheraBand routine, and just in my mind kept saying, you know, go through your poses slowly, I wanted to make sure that I just was perfect on everything that I had practiced.
Yeah.
And I was so in my zone that I really didn't see anybody else. I'll be very honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, and once I got on stage, you know, it was a lot different. Usually, you know, you come out by yourself and you have your presentation, and every show's a different experience, but this time the judges brought all 38 of us on stage, and they called us out one by one, and, you know, that's when I really got to see where I'm at in my career, and among, you know, the women that I'm competing against, how phenomenal they look, how conditioned they are.
Right.
And I knew everybody looked good, and I said, you know what it's going to come down to? It's going to come down to your elegance, your poise, and the whole package. Did the hair, the makeup, did everything flow? You know, because at the pro level, everyone comes on point. Yeah. Right? So I knew it was going to come down to that, and once they called my name, I worked it.
And from what your husband Gus told me was you guys were out there a while. I mean, it wasn't a fast. Sometimes the judging goes pretty fast, but you guys they really worked you out there, huh?
They really worked us out there, and you know, I was the first number they called to the center, and I said, oh, okay, definitely, you know, either first or second. And then towards the end, you know, when they were they had set me there in the middle, and then they switched me at the end, and oh my God, I cramped in my left leg. And I said, girl, you better hold it, because if not, you're gonna go down. So I just relaxed a little, and then they had switched me, and then they switched me right back. So at that point I said, I don't know, but it felt so good to get that win.
Yeah,
it really did.
Yeah.
You know, and just kind of now I could really enjoy my off season, you know, and just know, God, we had a plan, we executed, we delivered. Now we can really prepare properly next year.
Right. So let's talk a little bit about your career, Camela. When you first got into, what made you get into this? I know you were an athlete before, and you weren't into fighting, right? And that's how you got into competing.
Well, actually, you know, it even goes further back. My first show I did in 2007 in Miami. Okay. It was, at the time I was living in Miami, and it was a big show. It was a national qualifier, Sunshine State Classic. Okay. And I didn't do any combat training for that. It was all weightlifting and, you know, your standard program. And
what made you decide to compete?
I have always had a fascination of bodybuilding. Okay. My mom's been an aerobic instructor 30 plus years. My dad was very into weights and nutrition. Right. I grew up into this. Right. Like, I feel like I was born to do this.
It's in your blood.
It's in my blood, yeah, you know. And I always had a fascination with the female structure. I always thought it was just so neat. I always loved the fit look. Yeah. And I remember, you know, in my undergrad in college, I would look at magazines and say, man, I want to do that one day. I want to be there. I love that. And, you know, so I decided to study exercise science at FIU. Okay. And so I was in the mix. Yeah. And then at the time I met a girlfriend. She's wonderful, Kathy Hernandez, and I had really admired her physique. And her and I became really good friends at FIU. And her and I trained for a show together, and we both dominated. And from that time, I was like, I really want to go all the way. But you know how expensive the sport is. Yeah. So I took 2 years off to finish college, and then my husband got an opportunity to run an MMA gym in Brandon. Okay. And we went for the offer, and I went over there and ran the women's curriculum, the boot camp, the management. And before you knew it, I was doing the combat workouts. I was doing boxing, and I got in tip-top shape. So the plan was I was going to fight. I was going to do an amateur boxing, and there was no girls in my weight class. And
so you show up for the fight, and nobody's there.
No one's there, and I was in tip-top shape. I really looked phenomenal. And this was in 2010, and I walked into Southern Muscle in Brandon, and there was a young lady there named Annalise Perez, and her physique was fantastic. Yeah. And she looked at me, she's like, my God, your body, what do you do? And, you know, I told her a little bit about it, and she said, if you enter Tampa Classic, that's yours. Yeah. And I said, I would hate for this to go to waste, so I entered it, and from that day, I didn't stop. I said, okay, this is your time. take advantage and go all the way.
And you won that show. You won the Tampa Bay Classic.
Tampa Bay Classic. Then
Which
I went.
It was a big show.
It was a big show.
Yeah.
And then I went to national qualifier, Deke Warner, Miss Florida State.
Right.
Won that. Then I went 2010 to nationals in Atlanta, and there was 40 women in that class, and I got second call out, 7th place.
Okay.
So then after that, I did USA's, got 3rd. Then the following year, USA's, then Pro, 2012.
Okay. 2012.
And
okay.
then from then, I just went for it. But where my physique really shined the most was through my coach's training, which was Gus.
Okay.
Following him, you know, and yeah, I mean, I had a good foundation from college.
Yeah.
And I always had good form and good technique.
Mm-hmm.
And I followed my husband in the training, and it just took my body to an amazing level.
Yeah.
And I think that's what the judges fell in love with. It was just a physique they had never seen before.
Yeah. That's
So
interesting. So
now it's like
the MMA fighting and all that stuff, all that type of training gave you a different look to your physique.
it does, and it gives me a very flowy,
Mm-hmm.
you know, agile walk to stage. But I know that I can't just do that alone, and that's what I was doing in
The off-season.
2012. You
Yeah.
know, when I didn't do the off season, and I said, okay, it's a combination. You gotta lift heavy, you gotta, you know, do your cutting too, your shredding. But
Yeah.
I think what I learned this year was putting everything together.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the bodybuilding with, you know, my strength and conditioning knowledge, with my coach's knowledge in MMA,
Mm-hmm.
and putting it together, and then just making, you know, a perfecting physique that we brought to Kentucky.
Yeah.
You know, so.
But you've got the genetics too. You've got the structure. You've got the look. You know, so it's just a matter of coming in condition.
And that's what I realized. I said, I've always had it.
Yeah.
I gotta go in there shredded. You gotta be conditioned, and it really dawned on me this year. And I said, okay, you have to. The off seasons for you to look fluffy and fun and whatever, but on stage they want to see your work.
Yeah.
And I really got it this year. And I said, okay, so now I know what they're looking for.
Now, when you were training for that fight, was your objective to be a fighter? Did you want to be a professional fighter?
You know what I was gonna do, John? I said, well, this is my coach is my husband, so this is what he's gonna do. Well, hey, I'll fight too.
Okay.
So I was just gonna do it so we were both on the same page.
Right.
Right? And I was so good at it. I was so good at the boxing, you know, and at the time, the coach that was teaching the classes, Ambe, you know, he was so motivating, so energetic,
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, he was like, Kamla, you got something. You can really be a phenomenal boxer. And, you know, I just really got into it, and I thought that's what I was going to do.
Yeah.
But kind of glad I didn't go that route.
Isn't it funny how fate works? Like you were all set to go that route, and then nobody shows up, so you decide to do a contest because you're in shape,
I was in shape.
and then
then
lead you to somewhere else.
And I'm so happy that I did it, because I don't want to mess up my face.
Right.
I said, you know what? I'm attractive. I want
Right.
to keep my attractiveness. So I said, I'll leave that sport to my husband. That's his sport.
Right,
So,
right.
you know, it's amazing how things work out.
I know.
But, you know, I'm just so blessed, John. Have a very supportive family, very supportive husband, wonderful friends, and
You had a good sponsor this year
and
too,
a good
right?
and gosh, Betty and Dan from NFB, no freaking excuses. We built our relationship this year, and seriously, they're two phenomenal people. I mean, there's no way I could have done this year if I didn't have them, you know, Gus and I didn't have them in our corner. So
Right.
I was so happy to have that, and that helps offset some of the expenses so that I can focus.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I was so much more relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this time around for Kentucky, is I was like, okay, I got backup, I got this, you know, and all that helps.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, it really, really helps. And I tell you, the best career move that I could have made this year was working at Powerhouse.
Yeah.
It was the best thing I could have done for myself. Yeah, I had my own business in Brandon, but I needed some stimuli. I
Yeah.
needed to be around trainers
Right.
and athletes that train as hard as I do, that, you know, they, no matter what, they get it done, and I
Yeah.
needed to feel that energy.
Yeah.
And
The one thing this place has is energy. It has the atmosphere.
yes,
Yeah.
and the atmosphere. And I needed to be around some tough people, some
Right.
tough, you know, hardworking people. And you know, I'm so, it was tough in the beginning, and I think that's why Tampa didn't turn out so well because my priority was, God, man, get your business going.
Yeah.
This is a wonderful place. You know, they're so supportive with athletes.
Right.
And my focus was more on that. You know, once I got that settled in, you know, Kentucky became a lot easier.
Right, right.
You know, so, but this was the best move I could have made.
Yeah, I'm glad it all worked out for you. And so now next year, we're going to concentrate on the Tampa Pro, and you might do the another show before that. And then you're already going to Olympia, so I think you're going to be one of the top contenders for Olympia. What are your feelings about going to Olympia next year?
You know what, John? I think so too. I mean, especially my mindset is the most important thing. My mindset's there, and I'm very focused on placing. My goal would be top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 in Olympia.
Now you were in the Olympia before, right?
I was in Olympia before. It was 2013. It's 2013.
Okay.
And I got to Olympia on points.
Okay.
And man, John, my body was on point, right? The suit was terrible. Now, I don't know what I was thinking wearing that suit. I mean, I know better.
Yeah.
But I guess sometimes when you're doing so many shows, you just, you know what I mean? And not one stone shines. I'll never forget one of the judges said, Kamla, the suit and your body's a mix. I don't like that suit. And you know, and I kept saying to myself, I said to him, I said, you know, what am I gonna do? This is what I got. I'm just gonna make it work.
Right.
And man, I rocked that stage. When I looked at the view and I said, God, man, if I would have had the right suit, I would have definitely placed a lot higher. You know, and that's when I realized that it's not just about the body. It's a package.
Yeah, it's everything. Right.
It's everything. It's the posing, the suit, the tan, the hair, the make. Everything has to flow.
That applies to everybody. Bikini, bodybuilding, anything. Yeah,
you
men's
know,
physique.
all of that's for the amateur.
Right.
You know, but the pro got to be on point. And
right.
You know, so I'm so excited for next year. And I'm just ready to kill it.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah. Well, like you said, it helped to have that big win, right?
Oh my God, and it just boosted my confidence and just now like, okay, now going next year and just get into it.
What do you think your best moment as a pro was so far? Was it this weekend or was it some other memory you have?
No, it was this weekend.
This weekend?
This weekend was the best. You know, because you know, when you plan something and every step of the plan is perfect, what a phenomenal feeling.
Yeah.
You know, because you know how sometimes you plan something and it still doesn't turn out right?
Yeah, it doesn't always turn out that way, right?
But I said, wow, this was that time, right, where it turned out right. So you better believe, John, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because you never know.
Right.
I want to go in to win next year, but you know how that is too.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's like when you get that win, you want to enjoy it and just remember it, you know? So good feeling.
Yeah. All right, Camela. Well, we congratulate you again. Couldn't be happier for you here at the Tampa Powerhouse and FloridaPhysique.com. And we wish you the best next year, and we'll be doing some more videos.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. For Kamla Macko, this is John Hansen for the Florida Physique Report, and we'll be right back. All right, welcome back to the Florida Physique Report, and today I'm joined by Gina Midyett, who is the wife of Matt Midet, the owner of Powerhouse Gym out here in downtown Tampa. And Gina, you are getting ready for your first contest in a while, right?
I am. I'm so excited. I can't believe I'm doing this again.
So I was saying last week on the show as a preview, you did the Hawaiian Tropic shows like way back in the day, like, well, not way back in the day, but around the year 2000, right?
Yeah, so back in the year 2000, I won the title of Miss Hawaiian Tropic International.
International?
Yes, I was actually representing Cuba. I was Miss Cuba.
Oh, okay.
And I went to Las Vegas to compete for the international title, and I won the whole thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How many girls were in it?
Oh gosh, there was probably over 72 girls.
Wow.
Or actually,
amazing.
I think there was more like 100 girls. Now that I think about it. Yeah.
Wow. So then when was your last show before this one?
So before this one, I did the 2009 Lakeland Classic. Where
oh, you did? Okay.
Yes.
NPC.
NPC, yes.
Yeah.
Which I did a figure division.
Okay.
And I just had started I wanted to get into a fitness competition. I didn't know which division I would belong in. And I did figure. I really, now that I look back, I realized that maybe figure wasn't for me. I should have done bikini.
Right.
But it was a great experience. And
did they have bikini back then? 2009?
They did, but they just had started it.
Yeah,
so it was
just started
2009.
it. Right.
It was
Okay.
pretty new.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And how did you do in that?
I got first place in my, division. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a bad move.
It wasn't a bad move.
Right.
No, it was really fun. I had a good time.
And was that your last one, or did you do something after that?
So that was my last one,
Okay.
and then I focused on my career. Actually, when I did the show in 2009, I was pretty much a stay-at-home mom. I just had my 2 kids, Matthew and Victoria, and they were probably about 3 and 4 at the time.
Okay.
So after I did the show, I realized, I want to get back into my career. So I opened my practice as a psychologist out here in Tampa.
Okay.
And I just started working really hard in that. I started doing radio, so I started doing the show Dr. Love.
Right.
That was on the Spice Show.
Okay.
So that was lots of fun. I was the sex therapist on the show.
Wow, okay.
So then this year, actually just probably back in August, I just got that itch again. I'm like, I really feel like I really miss the stage. And I need a goal. I need a fitness goal. I almost feel like my life almost was at a standstill.
Yeah.
And that's when I was asked to do the WBFF show.
Okay.
So I looked into it, and it looked like something that was very relatable to the Hawaiian Tropic pageant, where you had to wear a gown and a costume.
Right.
And that's what I've been prepping for, and now I compete next Saturday.
Yeah, isn't it funny that once we compete, you always you go back to it, even though you might take like 5 or 10 years off. You always seem like, let me try it again.
I think we have competition amnesia.
Yeah.
Because right now I'm going, I can't believe I'm doing this. It's so much work. I'm mentally exhausted, but I tend to forget that because I know I went through this before.
I know it's an amazing challenge, no matter what you do, whether it's bikini or figure or bodybuilding or whatever.
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But I think it's just a challenge of always making our bodies better. I think no matter what age you are, I know guys are 60s, 70s, and they still do it. They still keep going back.
Absolutely, and I think it also is so great for your mind too. It just makes you feel like you just have some goal, some challenge, and it just feels good.
Right.
It feels good to do that.
Right. Well, I think you can't really push yourself, to get in shape as much unless you have a competition in mind.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your training and your diet this time. Was it any different this time?
Yes.
Doing it, was it 5 years later, right?
Yeah, so 5 years later. So, I never stopped working out. I always trained, and I think that helped a lot too because I guess now I understand the whole off season. Well, I had 5 years of off season where I would just lift heavy, start building some muscle. After 5 years of building the muscle, I think it was easier for me to start cutting down.
Right.
So in September, I joined the team Bikini Boss Chicks, which is with Teresa Di Pasquale, and she's actually the one that told me, you've got to come and join our team and do the WBFF. And then I started working with Alejandro Guerrero, which over at Pulse Fitness. He helped me with my diet, and that's really when I started seeing changes in my body.
Okay.
I've been eating 6 times a day, just high proteins, still keeping carbs in my diet. So I think the difference this time is that even though I'm strict, I'm not depleting myself.
Yeah.
I don't feel like doing these big cheat meals. I just feel like I'm eating normal.
Right.
But I'm eating more.
Were you eating 6 times a day before you started training for the show?
No.
No. Okay.
Actually, quite the opposite. I was probably eating once or twice a day.
Really? Okay.
Yes, and it's funny because
I see you in the gym. You're always in shape. You never look like you're out of shape, but you just weren't on a strict 6 times a day diet, right?
Exactly. Yes, and I think that was my problem. I wasn't eating. I was under eating.
Yeah.
So I always looked thin, but I never had the muscle mass.
Right. So this allowed you to get back on the program, put on more muscle mass, and probably increase your metabolism too, right?
Yes, I noticed that too. Almost that I was leaning out too fast because my metabolism just spiked. It just started going really fast.
Right. And then what was your training like?
So my training, which I'm doing now too, I train 7 days a week.
Really? 7 days a week? Wow.
1 day a week I kind of take it a little bit lighter, but I've been doing a cardio in the morning, fasted cardio in the morning. Then I eat my meal, my first meal, my second meal, I go to work. Then I train in the afternoon, so I do different body parts. I break it up throughout the week.
Right.
I'm very old school too.
Yeah.
I always read into all these different fads and different types of workouts that I probably can't even tell you what they're called.
I know.
So
I'm the same way.
Right?
I'm the same way.
It's just so
you just
fun.
do weights, diet, and cardio, right?
And I tell people that all the time when they ask me, well, what should I go, really? It's old school, simple way.
Yeah.
Four exercises, 3 sets, 12 to 15 repetitions.
Right.
As simple as that.
And just simple weight training.
Simple weight training, and I really, really believe that at least that works for me.
Right. So how did you split your body up? How were you training it?
Okay, so I do legs 2 to 3 times a week now, because that was always my weak point. You know, my booty and my legs. You know, I just want to tighten that up. So I do like quads and calves one day, then the other leg day I do hamstrings and lower butt booty exercises. Right. And the other days I break my shoulders. I do, well, actually I do shoulders with hamstrings usually. Okay. And I do chest and biceps, triceps, and back. Okay. And abs every other day. Okay. Yeah, so just pretty much split it.
So out of that 7 days a week, how many days are weight training?
Probably about, right now, 5 to 6 days. Okay. I do weight training.
And how about the cardio? How much are you doing that?
Cardio, I'm doing fasted cardio in the morning, and then another 35 minutes in the afternoon.
So twice a day?
Twice a day.
Wow.
Yes.
Now, have you had to increase your calories as the diet went along because you're doing so much exercise and so much cardio?
Absolutely. And that's another thing too. I think you start getting to know your body, to where I started seeing my body maybe getting too lean or too, so I believe just like you start filling it up with food. Like I'd rather get lean and then start filling it up.
Yeah, instead of running late and trying to make changes toward the end.
Yeah. Yes, and I learned that from Alejandro, because I was so scared. I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting too skinny. Everyone says I look like, you know, I'm anorexic or there's something wrong with me. He said, no, I mean, you'd rather get to lean and then fill yourself up with food. Right. And that made a lot of sense to me.
So how long has the diet process been then? When did you start that diet?
I started in September. I started really dieting hard in September. So so a good 3 months for me. Yeah. Just that's what worked for me.
Okay. All right. So now, how was this different when you did it in 2009? Was the training and diet different from then?
Yes. I think back in 2009, I did more of, my diet was it was the same. It was just chicken and rice, chicken and rice, you know. And then the other thing is I would do these big cheat meals. I don't feel like that worked for me, because I would do these cheat meals and I would feel sick to my stomach. You know, I would just feel like I was gorging, you know. That's one thing I did not do this time, and I feel like just mentally it's helped me a lot more.
Has the diet been hard this time?
Yeah, it's been hard. I just because I think it's a lot of food.
Okay.
So
but not hard with cravings or anything, huh?
No.
That's good.
No, you know, I was telling people, I said it's not really that I'm craving food. I'm craving my control back. I think that's what it is. It's just you're so regimented, and like you have to eat at this time and you have to eat this meal. I think that's what I miss, is kind of having, all right, if I feel like having an apple, or if I feel like having a banana, or just some protein shake at the smoothie bar. You know? But I can't do that now. So that's what I miss. Just having that flexibility.
Yeah, you're on a restricted diet. That's it.
Or I'll go out to eat, and here I am carrying my Tupperware with me, and making sure no one sees me, and I'm dumping it on the plate.
Right. Yeah, we've all done that.
Oh my goodness! I'm like, oh great, they're gonna give me some code here,
kick me out of
the restaurant.
Now, how do you? I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this. How do you fit this all in? Because you're a professional, and you have 2 kids. You're a housewife, a mother, and so how is it? Is it really hard to regiment all that and fit all that in? Because you're doing cardio twice a day, you're weight training, following the diet 6 days a week.
It's definitely hard to balance it all. I mean, that's one thing. That's honestly the reason I wanted to do this show, was because one of the things that I try to teach other women and men in general is that if you put your mind to something, you can do it, and there's no excuses in life. So I said, okay, well, I'm going to show people that you could do this. Right. Well, let me tell you, it's definitely been a challenge. Yeah. But you can do it. It's just all about balancing, you know. And through this process, it has not been perfect. I mean, I have learned. If I can go back or do it again, there's things I'll change. For example, I feel like I focus so much on making everything perfect. Like, okay, my kids have to be in bed at a certain time, and they have to have their meals, and God forbid my Tupperware is in the sink because my husband's going to freak out on me because he's going to think it's annoying that all my Tupperware is over. Well, I've had to let that go and not worry so much, because I think we work, as human beings, we worry a lot. Right. We're always worried about what everyone else is thinking, and it's okay to be a little selfish. I mean, and I don't think we're not selfish in a way where we're not thinking of anyone else or loving other people, but you do have to take care of yourself first. Right. Yes. So that's kind of like what I've learned from all this, is take care of yourself. If you're happy, then everyone else around you is going to be happy. Right. So back to your question about balancing it. Basically, it's a schedule. I mean, I think that's what helps me, is that I know I wake up in the morning, I do my cardio, then I eat, then I go to work and I see my clients, then I pick up my kids, Then I take them to their activities. While they're at their activities, luckily they're at the age I can leave them at these like dance classes.
Yeah.
I'll go do my workout, my weight training, go pick them up, go to have dinner. So it's just having that schedule. That's not always perfect,
right.
But it helps.
Yeah.
It definitely helps.
Now tell us a little bit about this contest, because you said you were doing the bikini and you were also doing the fitness.
Yes, yes. So
what's involved with the fitness?
What I decided to do was to enter both the bikini and the fitness. Originally was going to just do the bikini because even though I'm fit, my lower body was a little softer than my upper body.
Okay.
But as I've been training, I've been able to develop a little more hardness throughout my body. So,
right.
But since I don't know what they're looking for, I decided to just go ahead and enter both divisions.
And didn't you do the, they have a Dance with the Stars or something in Tampa? You did that last year, right?
Yes, I did that, Dancing with the Stars Tampa.
Yeah.
It was for charity.
Which is sort of like the TV show Dance with the Stars, right?
It is, yeah. But it's the local version.
Right.
And so it's really fun. I mean, I went up against about maybe like 12 other people, local people in the
And it's
community.
the same setup, right? Where you have like Tampa celebrities like yourself,
yes.
are teaming up with a dance professional.
Exactly.
And then you train for a dance off.
And let me tell you, you think gym work is hard? That was hard
I'll bet.
work.
I could never do that. I wouldn't even try.
But you could. I never thought I could do these moves, but they can teach you. I mean, when I look at the video of me doing this dance, I'm like, wow, I was able to do that. But these professionals really know how to teach you. It was so much fun.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a really good time, and I did a whole salsa dance. Again, my Cuban background, I wanted to implement. I always try to bring that into anything I do.
Right.
To bring my heritage back.
Right. So now that you got your feet wet again, so to speak, are you going to compete again anytime soon, or was this just like a sort of a one-time thing for right now?
Well, I don't know. I mean, for now, it was going to be a one-time thing, but it depends how I do next weekend. If I do win or I get a pro card.
Yeah.
Because you do get a pro card at the show.
Right.
If you don't have to necessarily get first place. But if you place at all and they think that you could be a pro, they'll give you a pro card.
Okay.
Once you get that, you can do the world competition in Las Vegas. So that sounds kind of fun.
Yeah.
I haven't
But
really
I imagine just
but
getting back into the lifestyle and eating right again, it sort of gives you a whole new perspective on fitness.
Exactly. Right? And that's what I figured. If I do decide to continue, I just want to kind of work on some of my weaknesses but kind of live my life normal for a while, but still remain fit
for the holidays.
For the holidays, exactly. But for me, being fit and being in shape is always going to be important.
Yeah.
I just can't see myself letting myself go.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And then you probably learned a lot too doing it, because you did a little different this time, the diet and everything, right?
I've learned so much just about my body and how it works and how it changes. It's just such an amazing thing that we can just change our bodies like this.
Yeah. We always do it. We never stop. We always keep going back, right?
Yeah, it's really cool. All
right. Well, Gina, we wish you the best of luck next weekend in Miami.
Thank you.
And I hope you do well. I know it's been a good journey for you getting it back in shape. So no matter what happens, it's going to be a great experience, right?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, just the journey in itself has been a great experience.
Okay.
Thank
All right.
you.
Well, thanks for joining us on the Florida Physique Report. All right, that's it for the Florida Physique Report, episode number 15. Thank you to Kamla Macko and Gina Midyett for joining us this week. And we'll be back next week with a report of the Florida Gold Cup. Take care.